Well, I think it's important that you ask about daily life. A lot of time we do focus kind of on the more high-end, polished part of living in the state and in the community. We're in Mount Pleasant, and this was a rural community, as it was when it was founded in the 1700s. And so if you look at it from a home perspective, depending where you are in Mount Pleasant, if you're along the coastal areas or along the creeks or rivers, rice may have been grown, and which was a staple crop that established the colony of South Carolina. And so from a daily perspective, from an African-American perspective, you would be involved in the processing of rice, depending on the season, the time of the year, whether you're tending to the dikes that were built to hold the water in. You'll be tending to actually the fields of the rice as it's growing, making sure it's not covered with weeds and vines, not being eaten alive by birds. That's just one facet. From probably another perspective, you would be actually making baskets, not to be sold as we see them today, but as a part of the processing of rice, whether it's winnow baskets or fanner baskets, or just baskets just to carry supplies and material. And so again, someone's out in the field or out in the woods, actually at the appropriate time of the year, pulling sweetgrass, or climbing near palm trees, because that's a necessary part of making the basket, or along the coast creeks, getting bulrush. Broader than that, you need the essentials of life. So you have folks making candles, or as I said, making baskets, or weaving wool, or dealing with cotton, to making clothing. And so these are other signatures of life in an urban environment. We know that African Americans that were here as enslaved individuals had the capacity to be hired out or loaned out to other needs throughout the city. So you could be an owner of an African American male who had a skill in blacksmith or had a skill in woodwork. He could be hired out to other persons in and around the area, which allowed him, on some occasions, to make some meager funds for himself. I think for the plantation owners that lived here in coastal South Carolina, and specifically in Mount Pleasant, their job was just making sure that operations, was flowing smoothly in terms of having the seeds necessary to grow, having the implementations necessary to manage the field, and because you have this relationship of the peculiar institution, making sure that those who were enslaved were where they're supposed to be. And so that relationship that existed in the coastal area would be probably a little bit different than what you found, say, if you were in downtown Charleston. The owners that owned many plantations had a home downtown. And so on many parts of the year or seasons of the year, they would not even be out here at, quote, in Mount Pleasant or Christchurch Parish. They would be in their estate somewhere in downtown Charleston. Because of many of these owners were a part of the elite class, the economic class, or social class. They would be involved in political decisions. They would be involved in the import exportation of goods and services and cargo. They would be involved in the international trade. Those are two pictures of the plantation owners and what they would be doing here if they were out at Snee Farm or if they were in downtown Charleston.